Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Kris Faction. You are the writer of Nano 13, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're live right now, right?
That's right. That's right. We've been up for 2 weeks today.
Oh, okay. I thought you just went up. So you just went. I backed you the other day. I have to support because who's your artist?
Ron Masicki.
Yeah, Ron's my buddy. You know,
That's right.
Ron is one of my stretch goals. If I hit, I don't know the exact number yet, but if I hit a stretch goal, Ron's going to do an 8-page backup for my comic Heroic Tales. So
awesome.
I might as well pull up. So join my Substack. Help me with my mouth. I can't pronounce words anymore. And back Nano 13. So you'll see this Ron's artwork and Rick's writing. What is Nano 13 about?
It is essentially the premise is 3,000 years ago, an alien race enslaved mankind, and now there is a group of freedom fighters that find themselves with nanobot powers, and they are going to try and take their planet back. And they're born as slaves to the aliens. They're called the Zerus, and they been liberated for a little while, but now they've got these powers and they're kind of trying to figure them out, but they're they want to kick the aliens off their planet.
So this is like an alternate Earth then? So,
yeah.
So 3,000 years ago, I'm trying to think during
the Bronze Age.
So there is no comic books and there is no statues of liberties and
right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's scary.
It's a pretty. I like villains that they're just evil. I so many of the kind of modern mainstream comics make you want to have feelings good about the villains, and man, I want my villains to be bad, and I want you to want them dead.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just talking with I don't know if you know the Don draws stuff.
Yeah.
We were bouncing ideas back and forth. And I was just like, you got to have like a something relatable about a character for people to like them, or so when anything bad happens about them. But at the same time, aliens, I want aliens to be so freaking alien that we don't understand them.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the relatable superhero, the relatable supervillain. Like, you understand why he's doing this. But then I think about an alien on another planet coming to Earth. Like, we would never be able to communicate with them. Like, they have, they have no shared history. They have no common DNA. They can't eat the same food. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of my pet peeves is all space aliens are just humans with funny eyebrows. You know what I mean? I like the fact that your aliens are just evil.
Evil. They are obsessed with like eugenics and genetic manipulation. Like they breed the slave population to.
That's just this. Are we food or are we slaves?
We're slaves. They breed humans for specific purposes. In this world, each continent is used for a different purpose. The story takes place in Europe, where the Zerus have these factories where the slaves build small arms for the armies of the Zerus that are out in space doing that stuff. But
that's kind of cool. So, escapees can have small arms and weapons and stuff. I was still thinking that if the Nano 13 bunch liberate the Earth, there's still barbarian cavemen.
So there are free people living and hiding, and that's essentially the civilization where our heroes live is inside of a mountain in the Swiss Alps.
Okay.
And there's a society that's been there for like 1,500 years or something like that, living and hiding. And there are several of those, scattered across the planet. The technology is, like your futuristic sci-fi type technology. but there are things like one of the weaknesses of the Zerus is cold.
Oh,
So they stick, to the more temperate climate.
are they reptilian?
They're insectoid.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And some of them, like our main villain in this story, he doesn't look insectoid, but like I said, they're into genetic manipulation and things like that. So they'll experiment on themselves,
Okay.
essentially. Yeah.
Okay. And the Nano 13, I backed your book, by the way. I got to support my buddy Ron. So Ron, if you're in the chat, say hello. Good guy. His wife sent me a freaking box of cookies that I'm
Oh
still.
my,
Have
dude.
you tried Mabel Bakes?
I've gotten 2 boxes since we started working on this book, and I have.
Yeah, she wants us to die by giving us freaking delicious cookies.
Right, I know, and like, man, there was one night for real. My brother came over and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to smoke this blunt with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure," And then no sooner do we get done, there's a box of those cookies on my porch had just been delivered, and I was like, "Oh,
you see
man.
those cookies too? Do you see those cookies, right?"
Yeah, right. Like, and they're insane. I mean, oh man, those peanut butter cookies are the best.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a chocolate chip freak, so it's mostly chocolate chips, and then my wife likes cinnamon. I tolerate cinnamon.
Mm-hmm,
Oh my god!
mm-hmm.
Oh my god! They are so, and it's funny because my wife is just like, what are you getting cookies? She thought she was getting mad at me. She thought I was like extracting cookies from somebody. Like, this guy wants to work for you, write a comic book for you. Now his wife is making you cookies. Who do you think you are? Harvey. What's his name? Harvey. I can't even think of his name now.
Weinstein.
Yeah, what are you, Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's offering me cookies. All right, I'll say no to the cookies. And then the cookies got here. She was like, oh my god, these cookies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Like, oh man, they're amazing. I just want Ron to keep working for me for the cookies.
You heard that first, Ron. That's legally binding. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay. Just send them cookies. Yes, Brittany, Ron Masicki's wife, makes Mabel Bakes. How dare you could put that in Mabel Bakes at Facebook.com. That's our link for anybody who wants these cookies. I made an unboxing video to show these cookies, and I don't know how much it must have cost her a fortune just to mail them to me. So guys, we got to make the stretch goal. I got to hire Ron now. I got to
absolutely.
Yeah, but anyway, he's a great artist.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. That was I had seen a few pages that he had done for Sector 7, and I was like, this is the art style that I want for this book.
Okay.
And so fun? it was a little back and forth because he was still working on Sector 7 at the time. And at first he kind of turned me down, but I was persistent. And he was like, okay, how about I, do a page for you and a page for Sector 7, a week or whatever. And I was like, okay, like we can do that for sure. And then when Sector 7 didn't fund, he was like, you know what? I'm just going to work on this full time and I'll come back around to Sector 7.
Okay.
Later. And I was like, okay, sounds good, man. And yeah,
so is this your book and you're paying him, or are you
yes.
Guys? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Not to be mean, but he's getting paid whether this gets funded or not then, right?
Right. Exactly.
There you go, Ron.
But I want to keep him working. So let's get it funded and get it out there so we can get issue 2.
I'm doing my comic, Heroic Tales, and I pay as Renzo hands in a page. I pay him. And he says, like, you don't have to pay me right away. I was like, dude, as soon as I say the page, as soon as I say it's good, you're paid immediately because I don't want bills. The last thing I want is I got to pay this guy 9 pages. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's how I am. I'm like, I want to make sure that you're getting your money. I mean, you're trying to take care of your family. Right. And
the last thing you want is a bad reputation.
Exactly.
Exactly. Comics Gate, crowdfunding, whatever you want to call it. It really is a small group. We're only as good as our reputation.
Exactly.
Do you have a comic out already?
No, this is actually my very first one.
So you're like me, this is our first. This is going to establish our rep.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to think I got a good rep. You're paying your guys. You're a cool guy. So this is it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm doing my best to do right by everybody that I've commissioned to work for me, and I'm doing my best to do right by the customers that back the book.
Cool. So you're on Fund My Comic,
Mm-hmm.
and you're live right now. And any bugs, any problems? I'm
No.
asking. I want to go on Fund My Comic too.
Yeah,
so.
no, it has been so smooth. I mean, we built the campaign, and then set the date for it to go live, date and time, and then the approval process took like 12 hours or something like that. And and then it was just okay, sit back and wait, and boom, it went live, and I was like, sweet. And the very first thing that sold was Ron's page of original art.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I was kind of floored. I was like, whoa, that like already, that's awesome. And it was within like 15 minutes of the campaign going live.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is cool. So what other perks you got?
It's just the book. I've got you can get one book, or you can buy 5, get one free, like a retail pack or whatever. We have it. Go ahead.
I said that's a good idea for stores.
Yeah, and that's I'm a co-host on the Friday nights, which comes on every Friday at 9 Eastern. But that's one thing that we encourage a lot on our show, is to have some sort of retail pack, because even if you're not a retailer, you can get that and go to your local shop and get it on the shelves. And I think that's winning for indie
that's
comics.
a good idea. I didn't think of that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Retail play. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Are you doing digital?
I'm not doing digital. I might do digital later. Right now, I just wanted to stick to physical, and I mean, honestly, like I'm kind of I view it as a freight train. Like I'm gonna start off slow. That way, if there are any hiccups, any bugs, any issues, I don't get dogpiled with a bunch of stuff. Because I've seen a lot of guys go live with their campaigns, and they're like, "Oh no, I missed this, or I forgot this," and then you're like frantically trying to fix it real fast.
I'm with you. I had stars in my eyes when I first came up with this, and I was, I ran out and I made, of course it's upstairs getting clean, but I made pint glasses and everything, and I'm like, this is just gonna make everything super. I was gonna make T-shirts, you know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save that for the second campaign.
Hey, there's Ron.
Yeah, Ron just showed up. I'll do that later. Like, keep it simple, stupid for the first campaign.
Yes. That is definitely what I'm going for. Is keep it simple, and then just grow with it. I do have a $5,000 stretch goal. I haven't put it on the campaign because we're actually currently working on it. I have one of my best friends does handmade leather work.
Oh, wow.
We're working on a bookmark that has the Faction Comics stamped into the bookmark.
Oh, cool. That is cool. See, I think I'll do my comic. I have a variant cover, and I'm making a coin that's holding me up. They promised it would be done by now. They're driving and maybe just stickers,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if I'm successful, I'm going to open up a web, like my own page, and I'll sell T-shirts and my pint glass and stuff.
Yeah, that's what ultimately that my plan is to have my own store. I totally.
It's a smart move. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I totally understand. Like the crowdfunding model, or even like what Eric July is doing, or things like that. But ultimately, yeah, I do want my own spot where You know, even like Shane Davis has,
Yeah,
you know, he built a crowdfunding
doing
engine.
his own platform. Yeah,
Yeah, you know, for Nine Lives. I think that's a fantastic idea. I would love to get there, you know, but we're just starting out, you know, like
yeah.
kind
Like
of learning as we
it seems
go.
like we both got this, you know, big ideas. You know, big
Mhm.
ideas. You know, I got to congratulate you for launching your comic, and you know, and you're doing successful so far, right?
Oh yeah. We are. I think last I looked, we're 87% funded. So we're a little bit less than $200 away from our funding goal,
Oh,
and
you'll make it.
yeah,
You'll make it. You know, if
oh, yeah.
I again, I don't know your story, but I know your art. I know Romo art. This guy is the artist right here.
Yep.
Romo art. You know how I know he's good, because he's a stretch goal for me. If Ron's still in, he'll be doing 8 pages for my comic if I hit the stretch goal. So I know I believe in the art when I'm going to hire the same guy. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? And not to be mean, because I'm in the same boat. Nobody knows my writing yet.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I was just saying with Yang, we and him were just talking before that people who buy my comic because they like me or they like Renzo's art, you know what I mean? And I already like Ron. He's a great guy. I like his art. Brittany bribed me with cookies. What else? What else?
Right. Hire him for the art, stay for the cookies.
Yep. So I'm noticing. Oh, geez, my voice is cracking. I just hit puberty. I'm noticing all the comic book stuff behind you. What's behind you? What art?
Let's see. I've got
Big
some.
some over there.
Yeah, I've got ice on. There's actually a lot of band posters up here as well.
I'm a
Um,
music guy too. I used to do Music Mondays, and I stopped doing it. I got to get
oh,
back.
okay.
Get back
Yeah,
to.
I've got. Let's see. I got Smokes the Fox.
I got that too.
I've got Cyber Frog and Heather.
Yep, I got that.
Um, I don't.
No
Yeah,
drama in your house. You got Cyber Frog hanging out with Isom over there.
that's right. That's right. They're friends here. I got some fiendish stuff.
Oh, isn't that
Uh,
great?
Writhe and Pain.
I just got Rise in Pain. I just read that. Mark
Oh
Paul.
man, Mark Polton is my editor on this book,
Oh, good.
and he's been fantastic. But I gotta say, Writhe and Pain is his best writing so far. Like I mean, he's been great, not just as an editor, but I love reading his stories. But Writhe and Pain, he way leveled up on that.
I liked Coney Waves. You know, because my
Mhm.
buddy Renzo is doing the art on that, or did the art on that. You know, and I get there's people that I'm loyal to now. Mark, if you're on my channel, odds are I'm loyal to, unless your comic is egregiously bad, which hasn't happened yet. I got Writhe and Pain, and my description was I said to a friend that it's like Image Comics but with good writing.
Right.
You know, because I've been making no bones. Early Image was just that.
Yeah.
And who told me that they were kind of like biased against the writers? Like, oh, anybody could write. You know, well, no, you need writers. You know,
Correct.
comics
Correct.
writing, and Image Comics were comics for people who didn't care about writing. They evolved into some great comics. Matter of fact, I still get a lot of Image Comics, but the early Image. But anyway, Writhe and Pain was like a perfectly drawn Image comic with the over the top musculature and sexy women fighting monsters, but with actual writing. You know, you could actually tell what was going on from panel to panel. It wasn't just written as static images to sell splash pages, you know. So there you go. If Mark Polton, you're watching, good job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Fiendish. You said Fiendish. I make no bones about how much I love Fiendish. That is, you know,
it really is. Rini has created I believe, you know, we've only read 2 issues so far, but the depth that she's put in those books, I believe that she has created a Tolkien-sized universe.
Yes, and that's
in there.
You can see my Tolkien map right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Tolkien freak. I'm looking at other stuff that you can't see. I got there's swords all over the place.
Oh, nice.
I'm a, you know, I got all the props. I'm a Tolkien freak.
Yeah, that's I tell people that there are 2 books that I grew up that were staples in my household when I was young: the Bible and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. You know, I reread this sounds awfully pretentious, but I reread the Civillarian every couple of years because I'm like, oh man, I'm forgetting the genealogies. Like I try to like I'm all ready to go when people say, why didn't the Eagles just fly the rings to Mordor? I'm like, okay, it's showtime. Let's go. I'll tell you why the Eagles.
Yeah, right.
But yes, when I read Finnish, I was like, by the second page, I was hooked. It was storytelling.
Yeah.
The coloring was outstanding. The art. Somebody said something about the lettering. I was like, hey, you're out of your mind. That's just you just
lettering. Not her doing the sound effects in the language that she created is genius. Like it brings so much more to the story. And I love it so much. I was like, oh my goodness. Because at first, you know, like when you're, you know, like the first like couple of sound effects, you're like, I don't, wait a minute. Oh, right. I get it. And you're like, oh man, that's amazing. It really
like, she inspired me. And I told her to her face that it's she made up her own language, you know, and she's very humble and she's very sweet. And when you compliment her, she, you know, she takes it very nicely, which is nice. She's not arrogant in the slightest. And I told her, I said, you inspired me because God willing, if I make my comic to a certain point, I'm going to explore different tropes of superheroes. I love superheroes. So my first issue is exploring the good archetype superhero in my first issue. The second issue is the scientific problem-solving superhero. The third issue is the Dark Knight detective type superhero. Sooner or later, I'm going to get down to the Doctor Strange magician superhero, and I'm literally writing out a language of magic. And I always wanted to do it, but Rini has shamed me into actually doing it. She's my competition in a good way. You're my competition in a good way. You know,
that's one thing that I really like about the indie comic scene is iron sharpens iron.
Right.
You know, I mean, everybody is very helpful to each other, you know, and sometimes in a more direct way and sometimes just by doing what they're doing, you know, but it's a constant, like I've watched most every creator that I back. I've watched them level up with each story that they put out. And that's fantastic to see.
And everybody has been nothing but helpful to me. I'm nobody. I don't have
same.
And I've been asking questions, and everybody's been helpful. And said, you know, after the show, they send me links and videos of stuff. You know, everybody's been helpful. You know, even the two people that are fighting, both of them have been helpful to me. And I hate to see the fight. I sent them both messages. I don't like when mommy and daddy fight. It makes my tummy hurt.
Same.
You know, that doesn't sell comics.
Right. Exactly. Well, you know, and like, I mean, I don't want to necessarily get into the drama, but I will say this.
For a guy who doesn't like drama, I bring it up a lot. I know.
Right. You know, well, it's understandable because the thing is it is affecting all of us down to, you know, guys like you and me who are first timers. I have been involved in independent movements, whether I grew up in a local punk rock scene. I was.
Where are you?
Do what?
Where do you live? You can't just say you're a punk rocker right now.
Waco, Texas.
Oh, okay. I was a punk in New York for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then I moved out to Albuquerque, so I got involved in the punk scene out in New Mexico. Spent some time in South LA, you know, and then believe it or not, went up to Seattle just as grunge hit. So I'm like
nice.
But a big punk rocker. Ask Matt Bauer. Me and him, you know, not that we knew each other, but we know the same people. We ran in the same circles of New York City CBGB's punk rock.
Oh, nice.
You in a band?
Yeah. I've actually been in several, and I've toured and been a tour manager.
What band I know?
No, nothing big. You know, I stayed local. There is my last band. We put out a music video in 2020. We were called After the Fact.
Okay.
Being from Waco, the acronym for After the Fact is ATF. That's a little tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Because we're not fans around here.
Yeah.
But and there's my daughter.
Oh, okay.
She just got back from Germany last night. And so I haven't seen her in 3 months, and I got to come home today and take her to dinner,
Oh,
and
that's nice.
it was fantastic, fantastic. But yeah, and as a matter of fact, my trailer, the music on my trailer is a band that I toured with back in 2009, and we've stayed friends ever
What band is that?
since. The Order of the Fly, and
Okay.
they're out of San Bernardino, California.
The thing about punk rock is, like, once I started, once I started working a regular job, I didn't have the time to chase the bands anymore, and it feels like I was never into it. You know, like I don't know any of the bands anymore. You know, I don't know any of the new bands.
Well, and that's the thing about punk rock is like, sure, you had the bigger known bands, the Ramones and the Pistols and all those guys, and everything, but the local scenes, there's so many bands, and then with the advent of the internet, and then all of a sudden all these bands from these little small towns anywhere were able to put their stuff online, and I kind of went on, like, I would say like mid to late 2000s, just went on this big, like, I'm gonna gather up all of the stuff I can, like, whoever, if their name sounds cool, I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah, that was me in the 80s and 90s. You know, I made, if anybody's interested, I have a playlist called Monday Music, where every Monday I would just show my 45s and stuff like that. You know, that took me weeks and weeks of Mondays to do. Now I'm going to do my albums, and my albums are just regular, boring classic rock albums. My 45s with the cool stuff. So,
Nice.
so I got to get back to that. But I was big into punk rock, and I've often compared this crowdfunding scene to punk rock.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that really kind of drew me to it, was not the, like, the community aspect, but
The DIY.
Yeah, the DIY.
You remember, like, I remember the Discord and the Ian McKays and Minor Threats. These guys were buying their own house. Granted, I grew up and realized that they were all sons of senators and rich people and stuff.
Right.
But at the time, I'm like, they bought their own house and they made their own studio and they sell their own records. I was like totally into that. Me and my friends were like building guitars and skateboards and stuff from throwaways. We didn't have the money to do all that stuff. It was a lot of fun playing guitar in each other's backyards and doing shows. I make it sound like I had any talent. I sang, and if you sing in a punk rock band, that means you just had no talent, but everybody just liked you.
Exactly. That's okay. I was a bassist. So
you were a bass, but yeah. You were the underappreciated genius of the band.
Exactly. That's I appreciate that. My bandmates wouldn't say that.
It's funny because growing up, I was all into the guitars, the guitar. And now I sit and I listen to drums. I think it's because I have absolutely no talent for drums. So it just sounds like so primal. And the fact that you can actually read music to play drums, and oh my God, I guess guitars are visceral and energetic and in your face, but good drumming is so I don't know. I can't even think of the word.
Oh no, I totally understand, because it's I mean, being a bassist, you have to have a synergy with the drummer, because you're essentially the rhythm section. Right. And so I've always had a high appreciation for drummers. Now I didn't appreciate whenever they went off with a girl and I had to tear down their drum set.
It was my wife and I was sitting here the other night, and I forget why it started, but I was just putting on a song, and then we would just like listen to the song in silence and then commenting on it. And I put on the Talking Heads. I forget, I can't remember, but I was just like, just listen. The Talking Heads is a band that is so funky, but everybody thinks of the new wave stuff of Dave Berg being all. But you listen to the drums, like it is just classic funk with the bass, and then the guitars, and David Byrne acting like a crazy person. Everybody thinks of it as but the heart and soul is they're a funk band. But this has nothing to do with your comic.
We're just two guys talking.
You guys talking about music. When you said punk rock, you got me. But I will bring it around to your comic because, again, the old punk rock stuff from the 80s and 90s was do it yourself. Do it yourself. Mm-hmm. You can't rely on the big labels. You know, Atlantic Records wasn't gonna. And then by the time Atlantic and Interscope, which was they're like punk rock, by the time they got the punk bands, it's almost like they bleached all the rawness and edge out of the bands. Like by the time the Rollins band made it to Interscope Records, I was like, they kind of lost. Like the Chili Peppers. I used to love the Chili Peppers, and then by the time they were on Warner Brothers, they were just every other band, singing crap songs about California over and over and over again.
Right? Yeah, that's Interscope would have never signed the Germs.
Yeah. It's funny. I was just wearing my Germ shirt the other day.
Nice.
That was one of my band song called Germs T-shirt. That was the name of the song. And how cool we are because we're wearing a Germs T-shirt. Oh, to be 16 again. So,
right.
But now think about all of this. Nano 13. Can you imagine Marvel or DC or Image putting out your comic?
I mean, maybe in like 1992, but definitely not now. It's too. It has good art. It has good story, and it does not have all of the check marks that they require nowadays. And I'm actually proud of that. As a matter of fact, I kind of turn it on its head because my villains are pretty racist.
Sex, right? What's the word for a different kingdom? They don't even like mammals or vertebrates.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the thing with the human slaves is they're extreme segregationists. They don't allow races or ethnicities to mix at all.
Well, I was goofing around, but you're serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And that's like because it adds dimension to the characters, especially if you're dealing with, say, the free people that live in secret that don't have all these rules. Well, imagine a world where you have these slaves that they've grown up in a factory their whole lives, and all males that have never seen a female in their entire life, because that's also a part of the slave world that they live in.
The selective breeding, I imagine.
Right. And then they're liberated. They don't understand what liberation means. And then they're taken to a society where they see people that have different color skin or are the opposite sex. It adds depth to the characters. It adds query and even conflict in some senses.
Drama. It adds drama in the best.
Right. And even so, one of my characters, Kris, he's kind of the team sniper. He's the only character that's married, and his wife is extremely religious. Well, these guys that grew up as slaves, of course, they didn't know anything of religion. So it's very confusing to them thinking of,
a deity.
A deity. Yeah, exactly. And so that's
morality. The only morality to them was to not get beaten at the end of the day, or
right. Yeah. Exactly. And so I've created a pretty complex world. I mean, every time Ron and I are on a stream together, Ron's always like, every time I come on with Kris, I learn something new about the world that I didn't know before.
That's funny that you say that, because sometimes I'm like, I'll give Renzo some script, and I'm like, do I tell him the entire story? There's a well, I don't want to give it away, but there's something that I told him to emphasize on one of the panels, so I had to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But part of me is just like, well, he's the artist. He's supposed to know. I don't know if you're a Harry Potter fan, but apparently J.K. Rowling told why can't I think of his name? Alan Rickman, the whole story of Snape before the
Oh,
book.
nice.
You know what I mean? So she swore him to secrecy so he could portray Snape. You know, he was a good guy, pretending to be a bad guy. You know what I mean? And that informed his acting decisions. So like I'm torturing myself. Does Renzo know why this is important? I told him to emphasize this, but so I just told him everything. And then I'm like, am I just wasting my time telling him all the little details? And he's just like, I'm just working for.
Yeah, I think that is kind of like the struggle, when you're a writer, is like, because I do want Ron to know everything, and Ron fell in love with the story. He read it and he was like, this is my kind of sci-fi. And I was like, okay, sweet, and he and I really do have a synergy. Like, I like the Romita Senior approach of the final storyteller is the artist. And so I give him like a whole lot of freedom on the artwork side.
Yeah, I gave him one page to try out, and the things that he changed, I was like, yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
He's the artist. I'm the writer. We have different ways of looking at things.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not an artist, and like I really not an artist. I cannot draw for like nothing, but that's that's why having a good relationship with your artist, like, I mean, when you click like that, that you're going to come up with something fantastic.
Like on the last page that Renzo sent me, there was 5 panels on that page, but there's 8 panels on the final art. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, okay. I could see, but one of the panels is just a close up of the guy's face as he's struggling. And I'm like, that is, he didn't have to draw that. You know what I mean? How long did it take him to draw that panel with that face? You need, but just and one of the things I do is I give my wife, who's not into comics, tell me what's going on. You know what I mean? Because I'm definitely afraid of somebody reading the comic and being like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? So yeah, the artist has a different perspective. So there you go. Now, like you said, when you get your finished art, are you going to have to go through everything and change up dialogue and everything?
No, actually, Ron, like I said, we have a really good synergy. Ron is also doing the lettering.
And,
okay. And so
that makes it easy.
Yeah, exactly. He gets it for real. Like, I mean, he and I, we do have a really good synergy when it comes to the storytelling in this book. And man, it's so crazy because I have.
Do you have any art to share?
I don't think I have anything like. Right.
When you were talking about it doesn't check all the boxes, I was dying to show this. So while you're looking, I'm going to show this if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Talk about something that doesn't check all the boxes. So this is the back cover for my comic. He's a father. He has 7 children. This is his wife down here in the bottom right. He owns a farm. Tell me that Marvel would never publish that. A happy dad with kids that are out in the farm working happy, I love that. I can look at that over and over and over again. Oh man, I just love that. So I just wanted to show that. Yeah, so when I get when Renzo sends me, my story's 22 pages. When I get all 22 pages done, I'm gonna have to take the script, because again, some pages only have, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to. Plus, it's just one more. What do they call it? One more check to fix everything. One more.
Yeah.
Do some mind sweeping, make sure it makes sense. Where in California are you from? Timescales. I recognize the name. You've been here before. So let me ask you. You said you got a daughter. How old's your daughter?
She's 18.
Because you look like a baby to me. How can you have an 18 kid?
I'm 42.
Oh, yeah. I guess everybody's a baby to me.
Yeah, I've got my daughter is 18 and my son will be 12 on in 12 days actually. He lives in Germany with his mom. And
Oh, okay.
so that's yeah, it's my daughter was visiting there and having a good time and she brought back some cool souvenirs and a lot of neat pictures and
Oh,
showed me
cool.
pictures of some cool castles and stuff. I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
man, that's
I got to
awesome."
get to Europe. I haven't. Closest I've been is Iceland. I haven't been to Europe yet. Do your kids read comics?
My son does. So I pretty much exclusively read indie nowadays,
Yeah.
and I'll collect a nice big stack for him. Um, uh, that's he's so far. He's a really big fan of King Cryptid,
Okay. It's a good
Pete
comic.
Samedi stuff. He likes a lot of the Alterna stuff.
Yeah.
Gods and Gears was one that he was really
Yeah. I
really
was sad to see that one stop.
yeah, me too, me too. He likes Cyberfrog. He's a big fan of ISOM.
Yeah. Cyberpunk.
So
You can see I got the figure right next to the mother box over here. I
oh,
can't.
nice.
Right on top of my head. Right here on top of my head.
Yeah. So yeah, but
And
he
your
also, I
daughter doesn't
mean,
like comics.
do what?
Your daughter doesn't like comics.
She's not much into comics too much. Like, uh, she's like, she does like the art, but she's not much into sitting down and reading them.
What about
So
manga?
no, not
Okay, I thought you
necessarily.
were going to say, oh, but she loves manga. No.
Yeah, no. She does like anime, and she does draw.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, she's working on a pinup that I'm going to put in this book.
Oh,
Because
cool.
come on, man,
Yeah.
Daddy's got to put his daughter's artwork in his book.
Oh, Ron, since you're listening, as a stretch goal, everybody gets a cookie. How's that?
Hey, that'd be interesting packaging.
Yeah. How would you mind it? There's the blizzard coming to San Francisco. Wow. There's a blizzard coming. Wow. All right. I had no idea. I haven't been working a couple weeks. I have no idea what's going on in the world. I'm not paying attention to the news.
Oh, I
Don't
guess.
watch anime since last March.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry then. My goodness.
Good stretch goal. What is this manga? Japanese. My wife is pronounced mango. Yeah. A horrible American and New York accent. So I forgive me. So I take it you grew up reading comics. What did you like?
I did. I would say my earliest memories of comic books was probably The Trial of the Flash.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then all through the 90s, there was, man, people that weren't living through the 90s, like, because you got a lot of young comic fans nowadays. And I'm like, y'all don't know what it was like to go to the grocery store and sit on the magazine aisle while your mom shopped for groceries
Right.
and just read everything. I mean, in the days when like Age of Apocalypse, Death of Superman, Nightfall, when all these were coming out, because a lot of people now, they got the trades and
Right.
they get to, but man,
They
back
already
then,
know it's good before they read it because their friends like,
yeah,
oh, you got to read Nightfall. Okay, I'll go read Nightfall. So you're reading a classic.
exactly.
Yeah.
But man, when they were coming out, oh, it was like, it was just this amazing, it's essentially like the last water cooler show, Game of Thrones. Everybody was, talking about it when it was coming out. It was that, but comics, and it was fantastic.
I remember explicitly sitting around like talking about the Watchmen, and I remember like a couple of fans that were older than me. We were all sitting in the comic store, and they were all discussing. And I remember one of the guys says, "Oh, Ozymandias is the bad guy," and I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "You remember that guy took the shot?" I said, "He goes, he shoved that pellet down his throat," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And I remember it actually was what happened. I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? This guy didn't know Alan Moore. You know what I mean? I was like so excited when, oh my God, he figured it out. It was so exciting. I remember arguing with people about the Dark Knight Returns. I was in a minority in that. I didn't like it. I was like, I don't like the way they're treating Superman. I don't like the way treatment of Superman. I don't like people like, how dare you? I still like Frank Miller. What's that?
Yeah, I could get that for sure. Yeah. Like I can definitely see, I can see that, you know, how, because you know, I mean, like I guess I never really thought of it that way, but you know, now that I look back, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, they were kind of treating Superman a
Superman
little.
Is the stooge, you know, is
yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Well, Superman's my favorite, so I don't like when they mistreat Superman. What Timescale says, I remember the grocery store shelves and spinner racks. If parents spent $30, we got a free comic. I'll remember this. This is going to blow youngins away. My mom used to send me to the corner store to get a pack of cigarettes, Kent Kings in the soft pack. I'll never forget it. And she would give me $2. And it was like $1.50 for a pack of Kent Kings. I'd ride my bike down, put the coins in the machine, pull, cigarettes would come down. I would have 50 cents and I'd go and buy a comic book. Sometimes, you know what I mean? 2 comic books if I had change in my pocket. Come home and it was like an equitable deal. Here's your smokes. Here's my comic book, you know.
Nice.
I must have been 12, 13, 11 buying cigarettes.
Yeah, back, you know, even in the 90s, I remember going and getting cigarettes for my parents. You know, it was one of those things where like it wasn't even though technically, you know, it was like illegal at the time. Like if you grew up in a community where everybody knew everybody, you know, they weren't like, they knew you were going and getting your mom's, you know, a pack of cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah. Got your mom out there in the station wagon, you know.
Yeah. So
I remember I used to voluntarily go with my parents to the supermarket because by me there was a couple of dime stores. You know, like stationery stores are a thing of the past, but I'd go into the stationery store. The guy would sell loose leaf and greeting cards and what have you, lottery tickets, and then comic books. So I would hit him up. I'd hit up another guy, hit up another. But if I couldn't find that one comic, because at this time there's no comic book stores, this is pre-direct market. There was a cigar store all the way on the other side of town that had everything. And then my parents, it was right next to the supermarket. So I would volunteer to go into the supermarket while you're pushing the cart. I'd be like, I'll be right back. Run to the cigar store. And, you know, they had, up here was all the Hustler, Playboys, Penthouse, and over here was comic books. So I'm looking through the comic book, looking to see if he's looking, trying to see a naked lady in Penthouse. Because back then, we didn't have cable. We didn't see any of that stuff. You know, I think I saw something. And then the guy would yell at you, and then you'd run out with the comic. Well, not stealing the comic. You'd buy a comic book.
Right. Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Long live the old days. Yep.
Oh man.
I remember buying weed for my aunt. Oh, God. My father used to tell me he would go down to the local bar with a mug and give the guy a dime, and he would tap a beer, and then my father would walk trying not to spill the beer home for his father, my grandfather. He would take a sip every once in a while so it wouldn't spill.
Right.
While they were watching the ball game, you know.
That's fun. That's fun.
We're gonna add this. We got some art over here. I'm gonna
Yeah. So if you follow my Twitter, every once in a while I'll repost this. I do have the first 3 lettered pages of the book. I didn't put them on the campaign because I want people to follow my Twitter. It's an incentive to follow me.
Oh, I gotcha.
So yeah. And this page right here, Ron actually did traditional pencils, and that was the original art that sold on the book there. And yeah, as you can see, I mean, Ron, he killed it. And Jay Brown, my colorist.
I was just about to ask you, who did these amazing colors?
Yeah, that's Jay Brown. He most people know him from G.I. Joe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then he's got, his name is all over Yaira, which was just announced today. to come out on the 11th, or the pre-order campaign on the 11th. So yeah, if you like J. Brown colors and Romo art,
Yep.
yeah, this book, and J. Brown gave me a fantastic compliment. He said, I love this book because of all the action. When the guy that used to color G.I. Joe says, I like this book because of the action, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And that was, I took that as an amazing compliment. And even Mark Polton, he after he gave me his editor's notes, he said, this book reminds me of Malibu Comics X Mutants.
Oh,
And
I remember. Yeah. That was
I
Ron
took that.
Ron
Yeah, I
Lim.
took that as a major compliment, Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, and I'll after the episode, I'll post those first 3 lettered pages again, so that everybody can check them out.
Yeah, like I said, Romo Arts, Ron, he's a good artist. He's going to be doing some stuff for me, and God willing, he'll be doing more stuff for me.
Exactly.
I have a lot of plans.
I told Ron nothing would make me happier than to make him a full-time artist. That would be fantastic. Because I mean, just his work ethic is amazing. His art is amazing. His just kind of vision, like he doesn't just, at least with myself, he doesn't just read a script and translate it into art. He dives into the story and gets to know the characters, and so that he can understand, because there are things that an artist does, that humanize the characters. They make you connect to them, and now he's yelling, all good, too good to me. Yeah. Well,
We just want more cookies.
Yeah, exactly. We're
My
complimenting.
wife is over here folding laundry, and she's going like this.
Yeah. Like, we're complimenting you to get to your wife.
And now she's like, get more cookies.
Yeah. I gotta finish this box off first, so you can. It's okay. You can hold off. She gave me the last one that she sent. God bless her. My goodness. I got a whole bread, like a banana bread in the box of cookies. It's like this big. I was like, oh my goodness.
I didn't get that.
It's, well, I mean, maybe after you, pay for a few pages and she can give you a bread.
My wife says the cinnamon ones was her favorite.
Those were good. Those were good.
On the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a big cookie with like a black chocolate over the whole, like
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that was not Romo. I'm teasing. Don't. I'll pay.
Yeah,
don't you must how this box must have been like 5-6 pounds sent all the way.
I know it's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Good cookies.
They
Yeah,
were very good.
Hey, but that comes down to, like we were talking earlier about, this whole indie comic thing is a community, and we're like, all the things that go on behind the scenes, like it's fantastic. I mean, I know a lot of people focus on the drama, but really what's going on behind the scenes is Ron's wife is making us cookies, and
right.
we are motivated to make comics.
Yeah,
that's right.
Matter of fact, I think I have like guys. She individually wraps each cookie so they stay fresh.
Yes.
Like right now I could go. I'm pointing because that's where my fridge is, because I'm a fat slob. My fridge is right there. I can open it up and open up a cookie and it's fresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oh man, you couldn't ask for better cookies, like for real.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a chocolate chip freak. That's why I'm boring. I like chocolate ice cream. I like chocolate chip cookies. I like vanilla ice cream.
Everybody thought that they were coming on John Longbox tonight to talk about.
Yeah, we're talking cookies,
but instead we're talking cookies.
How do you make spaghetti sauce? What do you do with? tomorrow, my wife and I will go to the movies, and we're coming home. I'm making green chili stew.
That's yeah, you're gonna have
it all week, but it's just when
you're gonna have your you're gonna have your comic show, John's Long Box, and then you're gonna have your cooking show, John's Hot Sauce.
You want to laugh? My wife bought me this years ago. This little GoPro, and I set it up in the kitchen, and I made a cooking channel, and I never released it because it is excruciating. I was whispering. I was so embarrassed. I was cooking, and I was shaking, and I was spilling things, and I didn't know it was terrible. So that was it. That was like 8 or 9 years ago, and every thing that I did at the cooking show is still trapped on this. I haven't even watched it yet. It's awful. It's excruciating. And I said, I'm never going to do YouTube again. I came out of the kitchen. My wife felt so bad for me. She, you know how husbands and wives tease each other. She didn't even tease me. She saw how upset I was, you know what I mean? I was like mortified, embarrassed. And then, and then years later, I turn on the camera and I'm doing my first video is Marvel Team Up number 86. I'm talking about Spider-Man and Black. I'm whispering and I'm talking. And my friend Paul, who's been my best friend for 20 years, he's like, I couldn't watch it, dude. And now 3 years later, I'm talking with you, laughing and joking. So stick to it, my story. So what is Ramo saying? Positive feedback is absolute favorite. Yeah, good. Well, the cookies are delicious.
They are.
She says that sounds delicious. And yes, community is everything. What are you trying to say something?
No.
Oh, my wife was turning. I thought she was going to say something.
No.
But back to what Romo just said. The community is everything. I was just a nobody talking about comic books to nobody. And Mitch Breitweiser saw one of my videos and invited himself on my channel. And then next thing you know, I'm talking to RJ from the Fourth Age. And now RJ and I are doing I was in awe of RJ. I'm like, this was a guy that I would watch his streams, thinking, oh, wow, this guy's so freaking smart. He's so knowledgeable. And just from a couple of comments in his chats, next thing you know, him and I are hosting a show together. Ron invites me on his channel. We're talking. And next thing you know, me and him are collaborating. You know what I mean? It's, I love all this stuff. I don't understand why people want to hear bad news and trash talk at each other.
I don't either, because the thing is like it just like, okay, so the rivalry between Marvel and DC,
right.
like we all know that that's really just for PR.
Right.
Sure, I'm sure that there was some actual rival, but these guys were working for, like,
right. The guys were going back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. He's doing, yes, and it was like wrestling. It was kayfabe. You know what I mean? Like even Martin Goodman and Stan Lee at well, the story goes they were playing golf together when he told them make a team book, and they came up with the Fantastic Four. Can you imagine if the guy from DC, or I realized it, I said it wrong, but I think it was I don't know, but he told Martin Goodman, who told Stan Lee. Can you imagine if they didn't have that? The guy from DC, guy runs DC, is telling the guy from Marvel, make a comic, and he makes the Fantastic Four. Can you imagine if they really did hate each other? I'm not joking. The world would be different.
Exactly. And, and that's why, like, I really, man, I just want to make comic books, and I want to get better as I go. And one of the things that does, and, honestly, I kind of hope somebody clips this and sends it around. One of the things that bothers me is guys like us that are first timers. We're new on the scene, or whatever. A lot of times it feels like we get pushed into a corner and told to pick a side.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. I just want to tell a story, and I want Ron to draw a great story. And you're allowed to like what you like and not like what you don't like. I understand that. And, there are books that, I think are fantastic. And there are some that I'm like, it's not what I'm into. I don't hate it, but, it's not what I'm into. And for real, like a lot of us on the small side, please don't make us have to pick sides, because more than likely what's going to happen is if we're forced to pick a side, it's not going to be whoever's forcing us to pick a side. It's probably not going to be your side.
Well, look at the country right now.
Yeah.
The politics is dividing everybody. I lost my D&D group over politics.
Yeah. See, that's so unfortunate because, we haven't
had a political discussion in 7 years of playing D&D. And then the election, the big one comes, and now nobody's talking to each other. And dude, I thought you were a wizard. You were a dwarf. There's no
yeah, exactly.
Politics.
Exactly. I agree.
And I believe it or not, as little as I am, people ask me, which side are you on? And I say I'm on Treebeard's side.
Yes.
No one's on my side.
I'm on Treebeard's side.
Yeah.
And I want anyone and everyone to check out my book, and if they like it, if it's a story that they they enjoy, I don't want to alienate anyone by saying, hey, I picked up, because really and truly I don't care about the sides. I just want I want to make comics. This is fun.
Who started it? Because Mark Waid made it clear that we're not on his side,
right?
In DC, so that's it. When it comes to like Comicsgate, I always say like, we didn't come up with the term. I find it silly to like, I'm taking claim in your comics. You can't tell us who's Comicsgate. I don't. Eric July can't tell us. EVS can't tell, because Mark Waid made it up,
right?
Gail Simone made it up. They called us Comicsgate as a derogatory term. So it's like, until we work for Marvel or DC, we're Comicsgate guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't kick us out of the club, and we might as well get along because they don't like us.
Right. Exactly. And I'm a big history guy.
Yeah. I mean, ancient history.
And I love, Ben Franklin's join or die flag from the early years of, pre-revolutionary period. I think that I think that we need to be looking at that, right? Because the people that are in charge over at Marvel and DC, and by extension, Warner Brothers and Disney, they hate the characters that they're writing. They hate what they stand for, and they want to demoralize people that are fans of Superman, Spider-Man, the Punisher, and so you know what? We're doing our own thing, and if we stand united, like, cool. And I would love, because honestly, I think the indie comic scene is rapidly growing, and I do understand that when things go rapidly, you get growing pains, factions form. I do hope that things
Cream's Donuts,
Yeah.
One day nobody heard of them. Next thing you know, they were closing down because they couldn't handle their own success.
Yes.
See how it always comes back to food there, Kris. I'm sorry.
It does. It does. But I think if there was actually a way to track indie comic sales as a whole, which
I would love,
there really can't be. I think you would see that, like, it is real competition to the big two, as a whole, because there's still like here in Texas, there's a big indie comic scene in Austin and in Dallas, but they're not really Comicsgate. They're their own thing, and I mean, I've gotten some of those books, and man, there's this one called Bigfoot Knows Karate, and he fights.
I love that title.
Dude, it's fantastic. Bigfoot fights Kung Fu Thulu in that book, and it's just fantastic. It's fantastic. But I think
that sounds like something I would have made up when I was 7. It's awesome.
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had to send that one to Germany for my son to read because, man, I was like, oh my goodness, you got to see this, dude. You got to see it.
That is a great title.
I bet if you could
send me a link so I can check that out.
Yeah. I'll have to look
Josh
it up.
Howard, who just launched a Indiegogo today for Kill Day.
Oh yeah, yeah. Dead at 17.
He is a Bigfoot fanatic, so I'll got to let him know about that. I think he get a
Yeah.
kick out of that.
He actually he lives just a couple hours north of me.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize he was a Texan.
Yeah. And
That explains a lot. I know I should be the enemy because I'm a New Yorker, but geez, I got more in line with you guys down there in Texas than I do. Well, I take it back. My area is a bizarre area in New York.
Well, I heard you. I heard you telling a story about when you were in New Mexico and someone walked up and opened up your car door and you reacted how a Texan reacts.
Right. Well, this was New Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't. The full story of that is my girlfriend at the time had just told me a story that she was abducted in a car, and I'm not going to get into the details. It's a horror story. So this was fresh in my memory. And then all of a sudden, guy just opens my door and he goes, "Thanks for the ride." That's, and I'll never forget. He looked like Jesus. So the guy's like, "It's cool. It's cool." Yeah. But then again, you don't just do that. You don't just open up somebody's door.
I agree. I drive for a living. I'm a route driver for a wholesale company, and I drive about 250 to 300 miles a day.
So do you listen to YouTube while you drive?
I do put on stuff to listen to, for sure. I switch, when you drive for a living, I'll switch between music and podcasts. And then also my writing style is I'll whenever story is just, I got to get it out. I hit record on my phone and I will just start telling story to my phone. And then I'll have it dictate or whatever. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah. And then I'll go back and, okay, what do I need to pull out of here? What's good? What's bad?
My friend Jimmy, who I play role-playing games with, he just got back from the hospital, so I haven't seen him in a while. But I send him messages because I'm on a commuter train and I can't just, and then the superhero and that,
Yeah.
So I send him text. So he has thousands of just insane text messages. And that's a good idea. Oh, tell me more about this. And then one day, without thinking, I deleted.
Oh no.
And I was like, "Oh, Jimmy, do you have all of, there's got to be a way to find," because I remember I did this character, a historical character. He was a magician who came to colonial America and, cleared out like he came to America before everybody, like cleared out like groups of like fairies and stuff so that the English could colonize and pre-colonize. All of those notes are gone forever. I have to reinvent that wheel. So if anybody knows how to recover lost text messages, let me know.
Yeah, I guess the phone company might have them. I don't know.
Or the FBI. I'll contact the FBI.
They definitely have them. Just call them up. Hey, FBI, I was just looking for those text messages.
Oh, you're the weirdo.
Yeah.
We don't know what to make. We signed you X-Files.
They probably crack up over my text messages. But then again, I'm probably monitored. I was active in 2020 on helping protect businesses and things like that. And the FBI showed up at my job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah.
But, we're past it.
It's long. That's the first thing I did with the trash bin.
Yeah, that's what,
So let me ask you then. We'll get back to your comic before we end it. Is this a finite series? Is this 5 issues, 10 issues, ongoing? What do you think?
Ongoing. The first iteration is going to be 12 issues. I have I might put it at 13 issues just because, come on, Nano 13,
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I have, but it expands if everything goes well. After issue 3, 3 more titles are added, but they're going to be shorter, more traditional, 24-page books. So I have 5 issues completely written. I'm working on issue 6 right now, and I also have a one shot that I've written. So yeah, and as Romo likes to say, this story is huge. So yeah, I want to keep going. I have ideas even after, like I said, this first iteration is 12, 13 issues, but I have ideas for what comes after that.
Good. That sounds yeah. And and Ron's good artist, good guy. He's enthusiastic team. What's not to like?
Exactly.
We were joking around earlier in a group chat about guys are like, oh, cape shit. I'm so tired. I'm like, no, I love superheroes. I'll never get tired. The problem is Marvel and DC are putting out bad cape shit. It's
yeah.
I like traditional superheroes. I like it. And yours is an untraditional superhero story, really. It's sci-fi. Yours, I guess what you would call a high concept, right? Because
yeah,
unrecognizable. I mean, the continents are the same, but I imagine there's no Louvre. There's no.
Nah.
Yeah.
No. The only things that are actually like faux recognizable. So the aliens' capital city in Europe is located where Rome would have been.
Okay.
Things like that. There are historical figures, like because I have a timeline of events going all the way back to like 13,000 years ago. Atlantis is destroyed. But I put
because that's one of the story points of my comic too is the great cataclysm of, but it's such a good trope.
It is
such a good trope, because in mythology they talk about the golden age of man and the silver age of man and the Greek. So of course with my superhero stuff and me being an ancient history major, I have to include the ancient world as part of my superhero world. So and we were joking earlier about making a bad Marvel comic. I was like, guys, there's a comic skate room, and I don't know if Ron's in the room or not, but I was like, let's make a bad comic on purpose. Like, we'll call it Cape Shit, and we'll make the worst superheroes. And I was like Cat Mother, and
nice,
and the infinite genders, and then the Visible Woman. She's going to be big and fat, and whenever anything happens, she takes off her clothes and goes. Wee! But they don't do anything. And then they're all like, we're going to save the world. And the name of the team is the Nazi Punchers. And the Nazi Punchers are going to save the world and they're going to do everything. And then there's a monster outside flipping cars. And they go outside and they see the cars have Trump stickers. So they turn around, they go to Starbucks. And then in the background, you'll see all of our characters. You'll see, you'll see Nano 13. You'll see the Patriarch, Cyberfrog, jumping and actually doing stuff while they're just like, we're so good. These Nazis' cars are destroyed. I just think that's the funniest idea.
That would be hilarious.
But with all the talent that we have in this group, I think that would be the funniest. Let's do a one shot, everybody.
Yeah. You could do like an anthology, like just a little. Get a few writers and a few artists. Do like each writer does like 5 pages. Something like that.
Like the Image Jams or something like that. One of the characters, she was going to be the right side of history, and she was going to be a black woman with the head shaved and purple hair, dressed as a Viking, because the Vikings made it there.
That's right. I
just think it would be funny.
Oh man, that would be a
but
lot.
Now I'm babbling, and it's supposed to be talking about your stuff. So Nano 13. Now, I wanted to ask you this. Nano makes sense because it's nanites. For those of you who don't know, microscopic robots, I guess they're in their bloodstream or whatever.
Yes.
But why 13?
There are 13 nano-powered heroes.
There you go.
So in the story focuses on the head team of 4 characters. That's the ones you see on the cover and in Ron's pinup he did. And then you're gonna in the first book you're gonna get to see 11 of those characters. The other 2 are alluded to, and they're somewhere else, and we won't get to them until issue 5. So
Intrigue. It's called Intrigue.
That's right. That's right. And so and when I say after issue 3, it branches off into several titles.
13
Like
characters is a lot of characters to handle.
exactly, and I want each team to have their own title, and like I said earlier, where the Zerus use each continent for a different thing. So we're gonna send the teams to other continents and see what's going on in Asia, what's going on in Africa, North America, South America, and yeah.
I do like alternate histories, and this is way alternate history, because history was changed before there was history.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And even like for
you could do whatever you want then.
right. Yes. And I have done.
I keep interrupting you. I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, I have done. When I was writing my timeline, like I wrote alternative history to actual historical figures. So the Spartacus rebellion and the waning years of the Roman Republic. In my timeline, Spartacus and Gaius Glaber, who hunted Spartacus, they team up to rebel against the Zerus, and they're crushed in about a month's time. But I thought it would be interesting to and this is just what I've written down in the timeline. It's not necessarily in the books, but I wanted to have it there because I want this world to have a history that humans remember, and that can be added to the story. It can give depth,
Cool.
to the story. So when the Zerus first came to Earth, they were very much like the Romans. They were just like, we're here, we're in charge, but you guys still kind of do what you want.
Pay your taxes, give
Right.
homage to the emperor, and go about your own business.
In like 531, 532 AD, Justinian, an actual historical figure, he mounts a rebellion that loses, but it causes the Zerus to bring the hammer down. And that's the draconian measures that you see in the book that the Zerus have is a direct result of that rebellion happening 1,500 years prior. But the remnants, the ones who survived, they built the free cities. And so Justinian's surviving followers built 3 free cities in Europe. And then the one that's in this book is called Libertas, and it's in the Swiss Alps.
Okay. It's funny. Because the patriarch is inspired by the Roman Empire too. He wears the gold wreath, and he's got the purple and gold for the So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, men do think of the Roman Empire quite often. There's something about the Roman Empire that men are just like.
It's I mean,
badness and its goodness.
Exactly. Well, you can almost tell the entire human story through the Roman kingdom to the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire to the fall of the Roman Empire.
Yep.
And I mean, there's so many analogs to pretty much any point in history, but especially right now.
Yep.
I mean, even our language, so many of the words that we say were created by them, or the roots, created by them.
Yep. Yeah, they're still driving on roads created by the Romans. Meanwhile, my driveway right over here is falling apart already.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
We're gonna close this down now. I'll put up your link. You're live right now. I backed. I got to support my buddy Ron. So. Yeah, but now I'm excited to back because I just backed because Ron. Ron is.
Oh yeah.
He's
That's
he's
well.
one of my artists too. But now after talking to you, I'm excited.
Well,
So
thank you.
especially when you said you're a Roman. Well, you're a history guy.
Yeah.
I'm getting mad now because I used to read I used to read just all history books just for fun, and I feel like I'm losing it. I haven't read my history in a long time.
Yeah, same. I'm especially when you're trying to focus on writing,
Yeah.
but a lot of times I have noticed that when I think about something specific and I'm like, wait a minute, there's a historical event, and then I'll find myself looking it up and be like, oh, okay, this can actually help me write this story.
Yeah. Just proving that I'm still into my history. My Amazon bag just showed up today. Naked statues.
Oh, nice.
It's just facts about the Roman Empire.
That's cool. I watched today on Tim Cast's Culture War show. He had a Roman historian on, and they were actually talking about the history of the Roman Empire and Republic and all that, and then the analogs to things going on today. And it was really interesting. This guy's really smart, knew his stuff. He was spouting out. I'm terrible with dates, so like, and he was just throwing dates out there. Yeah, man, and Augustus was born this year and he died this year, and it's there goes my miss.
Yeah,
I just got back from
your daughter's
she's rubbing it in my face,
busting your chops over here.
That's all right. All right.
But thanks a lot. It's a lot of fun. Come back whenever you want.
Absolutely.
The campaign's going. Come back towards the end of your campaign. We'll try to get you another boost.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'll talk to. I don't do the booking on Friday nights, but I'll let them know, and we'll have to have you on sometime.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I'd love it.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.